I know I'm late with this topic, but I couldn't speak past week because I have stitches in my mouth, so excuse me. No, 2 weeks ago, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 finally released, to the great annoyance of PlayStation fanboys. They were hoping that this game was going to fail, be a giant failure for Microsoft. They were very annoyed that this game was also going to launch day one on Game Pass, because apparently that's bad for PlayStation gamers if other people get to play a video game, but it's not on PlayStation. It's only okay if you play video games on PlayStation, essentially. But obviously, PlayStation fanboys immediately started playing their favorite game, which is also not on PlayStation, Twitter. And you got dumbass fucking tweets like,
COD is saved thanks to PlayStation and PC gamers. Xbox as usual on welfare pass with zero contributions to the gaming industry.
And then he attaches like this image that states that the sales of Black Ops 6 are up 60% on both PlayStation and Steam, implying of course that Xbox has nothing to do with the success of the game, which is simply put isn't true. This man is lying. And this specific PlayStation fanboy is notorious for lying on Twitter. We'll see a couple more of his tweets later on in this video. But yeah, he is correct that we have seen, or we have been told, that sales on both Steam and PlayStation are up by 60%. But what he leaves out is a very crucial detail. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 has been by far the biggest launch on Game Pass and has set record numbers for new Game Pass subscribers in a single day. There are thousands of new Game Pass users who have bought a subscription to Game Pass specifically to play this game. To say it's a failure or to call Game Pass welfare pass is just simply not true. But again, that's not anything new from this specific Twitter fanboy, PlayStation fanboy, Unleashed. He's really just preying on the downfall of Call of Duty. He even posted this gem of a tweet here.
Monster Hunter Beta decimated Call of Duty. Let's freaking go.
This is a problem that a lot, and I do mean a lot of PlayStation fanboys have. They don't seem to realize that things releasing at a different time and then comparing numbers doesn't always work. Because here you have that, Call of Duty, which released on the 28th of October, at the time this screenshot was taken, had 177,000 people playing the game, as opposed to Monster Hunter World, which had 438,000 people playing the game. But Monster Hunter World came out that very day, right? If you wanted to compare this shit fairly, you should have to compare the Monster Hunter Day 1 data or players, right, versus Call of Duty Day 1 players, which means that Call of Duty would come out on top because that would be 491,000 as opposed to 463,000. But that doesn't make sense. Right? That's not as fun as just shitting on Xbox for no reason.
Black Ops 6 launch on Game Pass has failed to move people away from PlayStation and PC. Xbox hardware sales are still in the gutter. Ouch.
Yes, this guy is literally just spending all his time every day on Twitter sucking the dick of a company that doesn't know he exists or even really care that he exists. It's just a number to them. If he died tomorrow, Sony really wouldn't care. But also notice how he specifically said that Xbox's hardware sales are still in the gutter. He doesn't say anything at all about the fact that this has been the biggest launch in Game Pass history, and thousands of new people are getting the new subscription service to specifically play this game. This game has contributed greatly, as expected by the way, to the amount of new Game Pass subscribers.
Notice how ABK reported the COD earnings before the acquisition, but afterwards they're using numbers of hours and matches played instead. Spooky.
Yeah, so this is something that PlayStation fanboys clearly don't seem to understand. No matter how many times we try to explain it to them, they just can't get it through their little ant brain to understand this. Xbox and Xbox Game Studios never publish the numbers of their games, the amount of sales. They never publish the sales. They've never done that. Well, they have before the Xbox One era they used to, but they stopped. They haven't done it in over a decade. So every time an Xbox game comes out and it's not showing up on like the most sold games of the month lists because Xbox doesn't give out sales numbers, PlayStation fanboys were like, oh look, the game sold really fucking terrible because it's not on a list. And they do the same thing here now, where it's like, oh, ABK used to give out the numbers, but they don't do it anymore because after the purchase by Microsoft, the numbers are just so bad, which is just simply put not true. You can still see by the fact that this is the biggest COD launch in history that the game is selling incredibly well. It's just, again, that Xbox Studios never gives out their sales numbers. No matter how well the game sells, they don't give out the sales numbers. Okay, so try to understand that for next time. Next time that an Xbox game comes out, or an Xbox Studio games comes out, and the sales numbers aren't appearing, instead of going like, must be that Xbox sucks, must be that this game isn't selling well. Instead of that, try using your brain and realize, oh, Xbox doesn't give out sales numbers, so that's why they're not there. Like, it's not that hard, guys. It's not that hard to like not be fucking retarded, honestly.
COD Black Ops 6 is the biggest COD launch ever, with over 300k concurrent players on Steam. Meanwhile, Black Myth Wukong.
And then he attaches an image of Black Myth Wukong having an all-time peak of 2 million players. And yeah, that's impressive, but I don't really understand what does that have to do with COD exactly. So like, yeah, COD has just had its biggest launch ever, right? No COD game before this has sold or been played this much before. But that's still bad because there's another game that is bigger than COD still. Like, yeah, there are more popular games than COD. COD is one of the most popular franchises in the video game industry, but I don't think we're all under the delusion that there aren't any more popular games. And Black Myth Wukong is clearly one of those games. Doesn't mean that the COD game isn't still incredibly popular and selling incredibly well, because it is. Now, I also find it kind of funny that Black Myth Wukong is not a PlayStation game. It's not in any way, shape, or form tied to Sony. So I think it's funny that these PlayStation fanboys now have to brag about how shit Xbox is by using games that don't even belong to, I guess, PlayStation. Because, the PlayStation 5, it doesn't have any games. It just doesn't have games. The PlayStation 5 has remakes and some sequels. But that's about it. Like, it has remakes. That's what you have. You don't have games. You have remakes of games that we've all played before. Nothing wrong with that, but if that's the only thing I can play on your console, you don't have games. I'm sorry. Which is why you have to resort to using other games. And why you also didn't pick any of the remakes that you do have, because even the remakes that PlayStation does have, or the games, I guess, that are on there, don't compare in numbers even closely to COD Black Ops 6. They just don't. Anyway, boys, as you can probably tell, I'm shooting the outro right now a lot later than I shot the rest of the video. I don't have any lights yet to light up me and the room when I'm filming, so I'm purely relying on the sun, which is I'm very smart for relying on the sun in fucking November, right? Because the sun's just famously always shining very brightly in November here in Northern Europe. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed my little small coverage of the PlayStation fanboy events surrounding Black Ops 6 the past week. And with that, yeah. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel.